Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this great session. We're really excited and grateful today to have with us Mr. Irfan Wahab Khan, Ms. Fatma Asad Said, and Mr. Amir Ibrahim. Um, the topic of today's discussion is rethinking business strategy to deal with change. For many organizations, the toughest leadership test is emerging as the world prepares to recover from a pandemic and set its foot into a new era of digitization. Um, the pandemic has highlighted an undeniable necessity for digital transformation, and overnight operations have shifted, commercial goals have been dismissed or put on hold while everyone tries to deal with Corona. So, we'll talk about how proactive business leaders need to curate and execute an effective strategy for how businesses can move forward. With us today, we have three dynamic business leaders who will share their changing strategies for survival and growth in the face of this crisis. It's a privilege for us to have them with us today and to introduce them. First of all, we have Mr. Amir Hafiz Ibrahim, who is the president and CEO of Jazz. He has been the CEO of Jazz since 2016. He's also a member of the Global Executive Committee of Beyond. Prior to his current role, Amir has held senior leadership positions in Beyond Telenor Group, Ford Motor Company, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Moblink. His career spans more than 25 years, 7 countries, and in industries as diverse as telecommunications, automotive, and financial services. We also have with us Ms. Fatma Asad Said. Over the last 23 years, Fatma's professional experience has focused on delivering winning solutions and building thought leadership in the corporate governance, strategic change, organizational development, human capital management, diversity and inclusion, and project leadership areas. She is also responsible for overseeing the strategic alliances with global partners, namely Mercer and Center for Creative Leadership, including being a certified trainer for their program Lead for Success. Her portfolio also includes providing operational support to Fragomen Middle East. Finally, we have Mr. Irfan Wahab Khan. He's the chairman of Telenor Microfinance Bank and CEO of Telenor Pakistan. He's had a long association with Telenor Pakistan, being the first member of their startup team when he joined the company as executive vice president in 2004. Irfan has over 20 years of diverse management experience with leading telecom companies across North America, Europe, and Asia. Since 2009, he's also served as Group Vice President Devices and VP, Head of Asia Distribution with Telenor Group in Norway and Thailand. So that's a little bit about them, and we have Jahan join us. So over to you, Jahan, for the questions and the rest.
So welcome, Irfan, Amir, and Fatima. And I think we should just dig right in. So if you can all start and tell us what are some of the strategic areas within your respective businesses where you felt the most need for change or adaptation once the crisis hit. So anyone can begin, whoever wants to go first.
I can.
Okay.
So it's a very good question. Because I think for any business to claim that we were ready will be grossly misleading, and we were not ready at all to the extent what we are going through now. And we have seen across that pandemic of this nature, which has really created a huge impact on all businesses across industries. There was no playbook to actually deal with it. And our focus, and as we were discussing just before the formal start, that what we see is that the numbers going up, and those numbers are no longer just numbers and stats. These are actual people and names and faces around you, whether in your family, friends, business colleagues, business partners, etc. So it has started developing a lot of anxiety and stress, and people are rightly concerned. So as leader, this is first and foremost that how you deal with this situation where first and foremost, there are multiple sort of stress points, starting with the protection of yourself, your immediate family, your colleagues, your co-workers, your business partners, and then community at large. So as part of the business strategy, I mean, first and foremost is to protect and then to serve. Once you're able to protect, and protect is not just to sort of help each other, because I think that's one common thread, which is cuts across, is that we all are in it together, right? So this sense of reliance, sense of looking up to others to extend help is very powerful and is very useful as such. So by leveraging that, I mean, how can we sort of help each other to whatever extent we can, both from a health and viewpoint, but also from a psychological support and emotional support viewpoint is first and foremost. And then comes, and no one had plans, like I said earlier. So it's about moving away from those plans because we don't know what tomorrow is bringing towards us. So it's moving away from that planning to going back to the purpose. What is the purpose of your organization? What is the main purpose for your existence? Going back to your vision and values and finding that purpose and then driving everyone towards it. So in our case, just to elaborate a little bit, I mean, the purpose is actually to serve our customers, over 45 million customers we have. Basic things like connectivity, as we're discussing how important the connectivity becomes in such day and age when everyone is relying on this. So from protection to purpose, and then keeping an eye on sort of what is coming next, which is, how can we also not waste this crisis? The opportunities which digitization brings us, the opportunity where we need to transform our businesses and our partners is something we need to be prepared for. So, but we cannot have plans. We need to adjust. We need to have that flexibility. So it's like, building a plane while you are flying that plane. So we feel like this because of so much uncertainty around us, I guess.
Absolutely. I think flexibility, keeping your eyes open, looking at opportunities, all that is extremely important. Who would like to go next and tell us about their strategies? Yes, Fatima, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be part of this amazing panel. A lot of common elements that Irfan has also mentioned in terms of what the initial response was. So in March, when the lockdown happened, the immediate response was the board getting together. So it starts at the governance level, and in terms of responding rather than reacting was extremely, the emotional impact was much higher than what should be done from an objective standpoint. So we started thinking that in the short term, the main two-pronged strategy was the well-being of our people and business continuity. That's where it all started. So what is the messaging that we need to send out to our people to give them the comfort, the confidence that it's all right, we will get through this. These are the steps that we're taking to ensure that we're providing as much as possible a safe environment, but we will continue to do our work. So they're integrated, yet they're very separate elements as well. So immediately it was short-term response. How do we assess and also consolidate the business? What messages are we sending out to our clients? How are we also, I think, developing slightly customized strategies towards our international businesses as opposed to the national businesses, because each country had a different response. Each country was at a different curve in terms of this crisis. Many of the countries had shut down slightly earlier. We shut down slightly later. So there was always obviously that particular impact of what governments have decided and how they are responding to this on a daily basis. So the challenge was really on a daily basis, monitoring the situation and ensuring effective communication at all levels to our people, to our clients, to our partners, and to whatever extent possible, send out this message of hope and positivity, and that we're in this together and we have to navigate through this challenge together. The second element, once things were slightly a bit more in our control, it's still not in anyone's control, but when we were a bit more sure in terms of what are the main strategic steps we're going to take to align our business and our people was on a more medium basis, the new opportunities. You see the world navigating towards a virtual environment. The virtual environment has to enable how do you do business. That means obviously client meetings, that means even delivery of the projects. We're essentially a project-based organization. And with our 11 different businesses that we have, it's a very diverse portfolio. So the challenge was are our clients receptive to the new way of working? And then where are the new opportunities that are emerging both on an international level and a national level? And which geographic elements would allow us to ensure business continuity and strengthen certain elements of our business strategy, as opposed to those businesses which were hardest hit. So it's about analyzing and assessing where we have to really focus on and yet be very carefully monitoring the businesses which may either it's not about relevance, but it's also about sustainability. And when you look at it from a more long-term perspective, we're very cognizant of the fact that the new normal, if that's what everyone is calling right now, we don't know when that's going to happen, but it's already happening right now. And the business strategies that are being reassessed and redefined have to be very carefully aligned to that particular situation and that framework that will maybe it's next year, maybe it's first quarter of 2021, which will emerge out of all of this. So what is that new normal going to be? And how do we impact the way we work without losing sight of the purpose of the organization, without losing sight of what we stand for as in terms of our culture, in terms of our value, in terms of the value proposition that we have to both to our people and to our clients. So in a nutshell and very broadly at a high level perspective, it was compartmentalizing in from short term, medium term, and long term, and then reassessing the strategy. But I feel the common thread will continue to be the well-being of our people and business continuity through effective communication and strong governance.
Absolutely. I think the idea that communication has to increase is a definite yes. Unless you communicate with your people, I think they're as stressed as you are, maybe more so. And that's where leadership steps in, make sure that they're comfortable with the fact that things are going the way that they're supposed to, and how you can pivot, how you can learn, how you can collaborate, and also with customers, in addition to with your own people. So I think very well laid out, Fatma, thank you. Amir, last but not least, could we hear from you regarding the strategies that you're adopting?
Right. So not a whole lot different from the comments that you've already heard. I'll just add a couple of things and maybe we can move to a newer question. But certainly, like I tend to agree with both of them in parts, Irfan, that, like for a catastrophe or disaster of this scale, nobody could be truly prepared. That being said, I would still request businesses to go through their, regular business continuity plans. That does actually help. It's not going to be a playbook per se, but it will have certain elements of what to do when something like this happens. So we were going through refreshing our BCP plan in any event in February. So we were going through that particular thing. We did a dry run of a shutdown about 10 days before the country went to a shutdown position. So we were slightly more prepared in terms of, but that was coincidental. But I think a regular refresh of your business continuity is a good governance practice. And initially, while your question had the word strategic, what were the strategic differences or decisions that you were making? When you go through a situation like this, it's like literally going into an ER or an emergency room. So the first thing is very tactical. I think anybody who says that, okay, on day one, we started thinking about strategies, I don't buy it. The first 2 months, everybody was really going through continuity of business, right? What are you going to do with the employees? What are you going to do with the customers? How do you continue to service them? For us as Jazz, we very quickly, since we were slightly more prepared, shifted our gears to thinking about what are we going to do from a community or a corporate social responsibility perspective. How are we going to use technology to help the government? Because we knew that the healthcare system is broken over there. We knew that the lockdowns will come. We knew that daily wage earners will not be able to communicate. We knew that people are going to be out of school. So we started working a little bit more proactively in terms of shifting gears from, yes, the employees are back home, they're safe, we've given them connectivity, that's working. Our network is working, the towers are being refueled, but as a leader in Pakistan, our responsibility then turned very quickly into how do we take this crisis and provide whatever support the country and the communities need. So that's how we shifted gears. And then as now we're in month 3.5 kind of a thing, certainly those strategic things are now becoming more important. How are you going to change your business model? How are you going to pivot? What does the new norm look like? When is the new norm going to come? Are you going to do something different with your workforce? Are you going to do something different with your go-to-market? Those questions are now becoming louder today than they were on March 22nd. March 22nd was very clearly, how do we just stay alive and provide services to our customers?
Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, the first few weeks, I think we were in a spiral and none of us knew exactly what we were going to do. Some were more prepared than others. And as you said, you had just done your business continuity lockdown even before the country had, so you were probably more prepared than others were. Now, all three of you and, whoever wants to take this up, naturally, there had to be a change in mindsets and behaviors, both of your customers as well as your employees. How easy or difficult was it to bring about that mindset change and get them to continue to do the work that needed to be done and to respond to, even your customers, to respond to the way that you were changing the way you were delivering your services or products to them? Does anyone want to take this?
Sorry, Amir, if you want to.
No, I just thought maybe I'll continue with the flow on what we did.
Sure.
Okay, if that's okay with you. So you're absolutely right again, Jahanara. If your employees are transitioning quicker, they will find solutions for your customers. In the case of telecom, the expectations of the customers from telecoms did not go down. It actually went up, because in Pakistan, 97% of the internet is provided through mobile telecommunications company that Irfan and myself represent over here. So our customers' needs actually went up. And this was important also from the connectivity perspective, because people relied on information, they relied on solace and comfort from their loved ones, and the means of communication was telecom, and the means of information was internet. So our customers' expectations went up, and it was very difficult for us to say, listen, please don't use as much internet because times are tough, although some countries have gone that way also. Employees, I think, is a very important one. And again, perhaps we are at the more forward-leaning companies when it comes to using technology. And it wasn't really that big a shift, but even then it was a shift. We do have flex hours and flex working schedule at Jazz, where an employee can work from their home once a week. That's a different kind of setup compared to when the entire office is working from home. So there were adjustments required. There were different kind of stresses that we realized. And generally, we only think about the physical and the connectivity component of working from home. There are many other dimensions to that. There's a dimension about uncertainty, insecurity, like, am I being relevant? My boss doesn't see me working. They don't see that I'm working or burning midnight oil. So there is over participation. Supervisors don't know how to supervise a virtual team. Even though for a company like us, which has relied on these tools, there was a transition. During these transition times, at least what I felt was useful is that we doubled down on communications. And whether you do it through town halls or whether you do it through smaller groups, I think frequent, honest, and authentic communications really does help. When there are so many questions and when you're not in front of people, having, even it's a one-directional communication forum, I do that every 2 weeks with 3,000 employees at Jazz, and they do find it useful because they want to listen to what's going on with the company. And as long as you're honest and you're talking to them frequently, I think that's a very good start. So yes, it's not a slam dunk when it comes to employees, even for, I would like to think that we are amongst the more digitally ready companies, but going through a challenge like this, we have realized that you can never be too prepared.
Yes, I think sometimes we tend to forget that the emotional well-being of our employees, as well as making sure that they feel that connection and that they don't, the uncertainty, not knowing if they have their jobs. We have Jamil Janjua actually asking, do you foresee downsizing as part of your business continuity plan as an immediate solution? So maybe one of you would like to deal with that or continue with the question that we had.
Well, essentially, I just want to also talk about the transition that was made. And yes, when one has a more technology-oriented, technology-enabled environment, it was fairly less challenging for our people to work from home. But there are different elements that are associated with that, in terms of not only providing them an environment at home which will ensure continued connectivity, but also the question around data security as well, and the confidentiality element which is linked to different projects that one is handling. The first aspect was, and then the third element was ensuring productivity as well. All of a sudden you have teams which are physically not in front of the team leaders, of the project managers. Even with the project-based environment, the project manager did continue, as far as our SOPs are concerned and the way we manage our project management methodologies and framework. There are regular updates, there are meetings which are usually before this entire shutdown were really physical. So you see people challenges at the leadership, at the team leader level, at the project leader level, is you see people asking questions that if my team is at home, how can I monitor the quality of their work and the level of productivity? So what happened was that once we had individuals sitting at home, we had to ensure that the enabling technologies and enabling tools that were present within the organization also allowed the leaders at the practice area leader level or at the project manager level could monitor the work productivity of the teams and ensure that they could also handle this new, it's a new skill that they had to navigate. You also see the response from a human perspective. I feel that is very real, that some people adapted to this change fairly quickly, and the agility with which they learned was very different from certain other individuals who took a few more weeks perhaps to journey through that particular transition and develop this confidence and trust that their teams would be able to give them the same or even better productive hours and better performance as well. So that had to be monitored, and we also had to send out very strong messages to our leadership teams across Abacus, both nationally and internationally, help them navigate through this, and at the same time ensure that there were engaging activities where there was constant communication at different levels. So it's not just the top leadership which is sending out messages, but at all levels of leaders, there is this habit of connecting, asking people, are you okay? Is your family okay? Is there something that we can do to help? So that's a very important element. And we were, I believe, better prepared to shift gears at that point in time as well. So I see some of the teams actually, quite frankly, have fared better while they have worked from home. And that has also transited us from a strategic angle to continue, not only in the foreseeable future, but perhaps actually change the fundamental way that we work in a digitized environment of work from anywhere. It could be remote working, whether at the client site or whether at home, or even looking at co-working spaces which are available in Pakistan as well as many countries. So there were different elements, but there was a lot of hand-holding initially, hand-holding in terms of giving them the comfort and the confidence and messaging, which is, as Amir also said, honest and sincere. Actually telling them, we don't know what's going to happen, but this is how we will work through this together as a team. And that's a very important, sincere message. It's about trust, it's about confidence in each other.
Right. So Irfan, also we're being asked on Facebook if we can become multilingual, so that some people are not that comfortable with English as they are with Urdu. So maybe we can sort of transition between the two languages. Irfan, did you see a difference between the teams in different cities, smaller cities as opposed to bigger cities, as well as at different levels of the organization? Was the reaction very different? And how were your leaders within your organization able to deal with that? I think that's something that we need to also see, that some people deal with it, as Fatma and Amir both pointed out, some people deal with it better than others. And so the kind of help they need is probably very different. So did you see any difference in?
Absolutely. I think there are a lot of, I would say, mindset barriers which were exposed, and we were able to at least overcome some of those. So at Telenor, we also have a concept called going beyond, jahan par humne flexibility di huई थी employees को to work from anywhere actually with for a couple of years now. But in practice, maybe 20-25% लोग उसको use करते थे. So it was not widespread, and we've seen a great variation. Some teams, for example, product teams, they were using it much more regularly, and others teams perhaps were not. And the barrier was actually with the leader, especially at the middle management level. Some of them have not transitioned, that they wanted to see employees in front of them working and not necessarily focus on the delivery. So that barrier has gone, both internally as well as externally. For example, जब lockdown हुआ and quite strict lockdown, so many of our shops were shut. So in our business, which is largely prepaid business, हमारे केस में तकरीबन 5 million लोग रोजाना मार्केट जाते थे to buy prepaid top-ups. बहुत सी shops available नहीं थी, but what we have seen, and we've been pushing KR go digital. There are so many other ways of doing it through Easy Pass and whatnot, and we come to some extent. But we've seen that another barrier was broken because of that necessity, because of that crisis. Even the shops open nahi thi, wo shopkeepers ne, retailers ne, they started working from their home. They had developed list of their customers inko regular serve karte the. They start approaching them digitally. So a lot of innovation has happened, which is very encouraging, because I think we need to also seek and reflect what does it mean for future. So obviously we see a different trends in different teams, different geographies. But it mainly boils down to how open the immediate boss or the leader of that unit was in terms of embracing change, embracing innovation. But I also see that there's a huge opportunity for us as a nation now, because remember, Pakistan is a country of young population, demographic dividend. And the whole world, when it's shifting to a wider concept of working from everywhere, there is a huge opportunity for our youth to serve, because they will have in their reach a global market. The physical proximity should not matter, or it will matter less and less going forward. But उसके साथ साथ जो फातिमा ने बात की, कुछ challenges definitely हैं, which also came during this. Connectivity के issues, people living in joint families. We also see that female colleagues के लिए it has added another dimension of complexity. People, power cuts, and not having, I mean, you've just gone through yourself at the beginning of this call. So these are all practical issues which we need to, as leaders, we need to also see that how we are empathetic towards our colleagues and more flexible in terms of delivery, because those things can happen. Some colleagues, they find it easier to work in the evenings or late nights, because then they can find peace in the house and they can concentrate, and if they can get things done, I mean, we should be thankful and open to that. So I think ये जो adjustments हैं, ये बहुत सी adjustments हम सबको करनी होंगी आगे आते हुए, and keeping in mind the ground realities. But it gives us a tremendous opportunity at the same time.
Okay. Amir, have you seen, I mean, this is something हम लोग बहुत दिनों से कह रहे हैं कि Pakistan has to go digital, right? And it's not just individuals. We're talking about large organizations, government के बारे में, you know, not enough services have gone digital. Have you seen a change इसके बाद कोरोना के आने के बाद, have you seen कि tendency अब बदल गई है? People are looking at going digital, large organizations, government especially, and how are your organizations trying to assist in this?
So unfortunately जितना नज़र आना चाहिए था कि this would be a wake up call कि हम टेक्नोलॉजी को embrace करें और पाकिस्तान का डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है उसको बेहतर करें, जिस पेस और इंटेंसिटी के साथ वो प्रोग्रेस नज़र आनी चाहिए थी वो नहीं है. ठीक है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हुकूमत के कुछ इदारे ऐसे होंगे जो कि जूम के ऊपर चले जाएंगे, कुछ मिनिस्टर्स ज़्यादा टेक सेवी हैं, कुछ अपने पीए को कह देंगे भाई ऑन करा दो ये. दैट इज़ जस्ट वेरी बेसिक कंपोनेंट. अभी तक हमारा माइंड शिफ्ट जो है वो नहीं चेंज हुआ. और देखें, अगर हमने डिजिटल की तरफ आना है तो पाकिस्तान में किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है? पहली चीज़ जो है वो ये है कि इंटरनेट फॉर ऑल कह दें या स्मार्टफोन इन एवरी हैंड कह दें, जो भी आप उसको लफ्ज़ देना चाहते हैं, लेकिन डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है. उसकी 3-4 चीज़ें होती हैं कि भाई एक्सेसिबिलिटी है, हर जगह अवेलेबल है कि नहीं है. आजकल जो जिस तरह इरफान ने भी अभी कहा कि कुछ हमारे अपने एम्प्लॉयज़ हैं जो कि कंप्लेन करते हैं कि जी मेरे घर में अच्छा 3G या 4G सिग्नल नहीं आता. तो हम भी अनफॉर्चुनेटली सारी जगह नहीं प्रोवाइड कर सकते, फाइबर नहीं आता पाकिस्तान में. पहला पार्ट हमारे मुल्क में ये है कि हम एक्सेस बेहतर करें ब्रॉडबैंड की. हुकूमत कौन से ऐसे फैसले आज कर सकता है जिसकी वजह से हमारा जो ब्रॉडबैंड की एक्सेसिबिलिटी है, बिफोर एनीथिंग एल्स इट हैज़ टू बी एक्सेसिबल, वो बेहतर हो. ठीक है, आप उसमें स्पेक्ट्रम रिलीज कर सकते हैं, आप ऐसे इंसेंटिव्स दे सकते हैं कि जिस तरह जो एग्जिस्टिंग कंपनीज हैं, नई कंपनी, क्योंकि दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हैवी इन्वेस्टमेंट, मेरा नहीं ख्याल कि नई कंपनीज आएंगी, लेकिन जो एग्जिस्टिंग कंपनीज हैं आप उनको फैसिलिटीज़ दें, इंसेंटिव्स प्रोवाइड करें, लेकिन डिमांड भी उनसे करें कि भाई आपने ये करके देना है. मुझे सारे के सारे तहसील में 4G चाहिए, मुझे इस किस्म की स्पीड चाहिए. ये एक बैलेंसिंग एक्ट चाहिए. दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि अफोर्डेबिलिटी, ब्रॉडबैंड की अफोर्डेबिलिटी, जिसमें टैबलेट भी आएगी, कंप्यूटर भी आएगा, स्मार्टफोन भी आएगा. अगर हम आज तक यही सोचते रहेंगे कि जो बंदा स्मार्टफोन इस्तेमाल करता है वो लग्जरी आइटम है और इसको दबा के टैक्स करो, तो हमारी ज़हनियत अभी तक जो है वो गलत डायरेक्शन में है. हमें स्मार्टफोन को एज अ प्रोडक्टिविटी टूल देखना पड़ता है, एज अ कंप्यूटर देखना चाहिए, ये चीज़ नहीं. और थर्ड जो कंपोनेंट है वो आता है अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ राइट एक्सेस, सॉरी अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ राइट कंटेंट. तो अगर हमने एक्सेस भी दे दिया, अगर हमने उसको अफोर्डेबल भी कर दिया, लेकिन अगर हमारे पास कोई लोकल कंटेंट ही नहीं है जिसमें तालीम के कोई चीज़ें हैं या डिजिटल सर्विसेज हैं, सिटीजन सर्विसेज हैं, तो ज़्यादातर फिर हमारे लोग या यूट्यूब के ऊपर जाएंगे या व्हाट्सएप के ऊपर जाएंगे या फेसबुक के ऊपर जाएंगे. हमने लोगों की ज़िंदगी कन्वीनियंस के लिहाज से बेहतर नहीं की, जो रेलिवेंट कन्वीनियंस है. सो आंसरिंग योर क्वेश्चन जानारा, अफसोस से ये कहना पड़ता है कि जो एकदम से पुश नज़र आई थी कि डिजिटल की तरफ मूव करेंगे, चाहे वो डिजिटल पेमेंट्स होती, ठीक है ना, बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपना टॉपअप जैज़ कैश या इजी पैसा के थ्रू शुरू कर दिया था, लोगों ने पैसे करने चाहिए. एक उम्मीद की किरण नज़र आई थी कि शायद डिजिटल बैंकिंग पाकिस्तान में तेज़ी से आगे बढ़ेगी, वो भी ख़त्म हो गई. तो ये बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. और जिस कंपनी के साथ मेरी वाबस्तगी है, ज़ाहिरी बात है मैं जाके हुकूमत में जितना बोल सकता हूँ अपनी तरफ से बोलता हूँ. बजट में भी थोड़ी सी रिलीफ दिलवाने की कोशिश की थी अपने सारिफिन के लिए, ताकि उनको जो इंटरनेट के ऊपर हम ये ना, एक बड़ी ज़्यादती सी बात है कि पाकिस्तान जैसे गरीब मुल्क में जिधर डिजिटल की ज़रूरत है, हम इंटरनेट के ऊपर 20% टैक्स लगाते हैं. अब ये मुल्क कैसे डिजिटल होएगा, ख़ासतौर पे गरीब तबका या मिडिल क्लास. सो ये ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो कि उस तेज़ी से हम इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं देख रहे जो कि एक अपॉर्चुनिटी कोरोना ने प्रोवाइड की थी. बट हम लगे हुए हैं, देखें आगे क्या होता है.
Fatma, what do you think? Do you deal with customers who are probably using digital much more than they used to? आपने कोई difference देखा है अपने customer base में या within IT players? मतलब कहने को तो IT companies should all be sort of prepared and already using digital, but काफी paper पे dependence नहीं है और face-to-face meetings पे.
लेकिन by and large you see कि there is a realization कि technology enablement और a broader technology strategy जो है ना, वो ही लेके आगे जाएगी in terms of business relevance and in terms of business sustainability. ये बहुत important elements हैं. And you see some very good organizations who are aligned to a more futuristic and progressive thinking. They are revisiting, reassessing and investing right now, ताकि not only in terms of the infrastructure but also in terms of the human capital capability and capacity, वो align कर रहे हैं इन strategies को. However, ये collaboration की बात होती है. It's not about कि हम independently हर organization अपना जो steps लेंगे वो आगे निकल जाएंगे. It doesn't work that way. Both Amir and Irfan are very cognizant of the fact कि जो integration है of different sectors, the telecoms, the banks, the retail, etc., and even the small and medium-sized enterprise, unless ये collaborative, एक integrated model नहीं होगा, these companies who are investing in upgrading the way they are working and looking at technology enablement, and technology enablement is one component of the broader purpose of that organization. वो जो है ना, it has to have the support of the government. It has to have a wider progressive vision, which will enable these organizations to grow beyond just, it's not about कि अगले साल हम किधर bottom line हमारा achieve होगा. It's about हमारी 10-year vision क्या है, 25-year vision क्या है, और कहाँ लेके जा रहे हैं, और कितनी level of collaboration है, where you see a lot of dependencies on each other as sectors as well. That is where the world is going. आप कोई economies देखते हैं, whether it is Malaysia or Singapore or any other economy which has really taken a leap from a digitization perspective, in a true form, invested this 25 or even 30 years ago, and they made a conscious effort to stay on that track. That enabled the businesses, that enabled the people, and it dovetailed, by the way, another very important component is the academia, the education sector. तो ये सब because आपकी talent pipeline तो उधर से आ रही है, तो अगर वो alignment नहीं होगी, वहाँ भी enablement नहीं होगी, this will not go forward at all. So our clients, most of them are cognizant of the fact that they have to invest in this, but they are also cognizant of the fact that there is a price tag. जैसे आमिर ने भी taxes की बात की, there is a price tag associated with that. How can companies invest consciously if they're not going to have a certain profitability at the end of the day in order to sustain what they're trying to do? And if it is counterproductive, then even these forward-looking thinking organizations, even in the small and medium-sized enterprise space, will have many more challenges and roadblocks which will not enable us to take that leap. So you see positive thinking, no doubt. There's some organizations who are saying, okay, where is the opportunity? How do we redefine and redesign the way we work? But they need the support of the government. They need the support of the authorities, whether it is tax, and also the basic regulatory bodies that are associated with that particular sector to go forward. It has to be a purpose-led, greater vision where we can all work together towards that goal.
Absolutely. Collaboration more than competition is something that everybody should be looking at. So if I'm going down this same path, what have you been doing in terms of, are you collaborating with large organizations, with the government? I know both you and Amir, your organizations have contributed to the COVID crisis by, digging into your CSR and providing much more in terms of support than many other organizations have. उसके अलावा collaboration में कुछ किया है आपने with other organizations to make sure that there is, that the economy keeps running and that your employees benefit, but so do those in other organizations? Or maybe I would like you to comment as well, what do you think that the government needs to do in terms of policy change, in addition to what Amir and Fatma said, taxes and, spreading the internet, the broadband to larger parts of Pakistan? इसलिए कि अभी हम तो complain करते हैं, मगर छोटे शहर हैं या छोटी जो villages हैं वहाँ तक तो अभी भी नहीं पहुँचता है. So is there anything that Telenor is involved in? Also in terms of content, I totally agree with Amir के content नहीं होगा तो लोग क्या करेंगे जाके internet पे. So in कुछ areas में either Telenor or people that you know who are working in this, कुछ आप बताएंगे?
जी, देखिए, one thing is quite clear कि we firmly believe कि in no single organization, ये जो हम बात कर रहे हैं digital revolution की and reaping the digital dividend, no single organization, or private sector mein ho, public mein ho, academia mein ho, we all need to sort of collaborate, and this is an ecosystem. And this ecosystem rides at the back of, is what, as we see in Pakistan, is the telecom sector, right? So which is not just a sector, it's actually sectors of sectors. आपकी आजकल अगर आप education की बात करते हैं, सब बच्चे, I mean, there's online learning, so everyone is actually dependent on internet and connectivity. Similarly, I mean, you think of a commerce, and you've seen कि e-commerce के ऊपर बहुत सी transactions volumes बहुत बढ़ गए हैं. It's actually helping people in this lockdown situation through convenience. And keeping them safe, whether online groceries ho या e-commerce ho, and we see the same trend throughout, not just बड़े शहरों में बल्कि छोटे शहरों में भी. इसी तरह हमारा जो focus रहा है वो ये कि हम apart from, and especially in the context of COVID, के apart from the relief which we are doing, we are also focusing on those elements which are closer to our, जहाँ पर हमारे हम एक unique value proposition लेके आ सकते हैं. So education is one sector which is close to us, जहाँ पर हमने खास तौर पे जो डिजी स्किल्स हैं बच्चों को देने के लिए, उसमें वी हैव कोलैबोरेटेड इवन विद गवर्नमेंट. जो इग्नाइट का प्रोग्राम है डिजी स्किल का, जिसके अंदर बहुत से इस वक्त स्टूडेंट्स रजिस्टर्ड भी हैं. वी हेल्पिंग विद देम, वी वर्किंग विद देम. इसके अलावा बहुत से लोगों को जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ अपस्किलिंग की ज़रूरत है वो सारा, सो लिंक्डइन के साथ हमने कुछ efforts किए हैं जहाँ पर हम फ्री कुछ लाइसेंसेस लिए हैं for upskilling and training which we are giving. इसके साथ साथ although I mean बहुत सी organizations have decided not to have their summer internship program, but we are going ahead and testing and trying at least with a virtual program. So Monday से इंशाल्लाह हम launch करने जा रहे हैं first virtual internship program, just to also see and explore ourselves. We may not have all the answers, but not to sort of let down just because of the situation. इसी तरह health sector में भी हमने कुछ startups के साथ reach out किया है, content को हम promote कर रहे हैं. So there are many of those things, but this will not be enough unless हम सब मिलकर करें. और उसके लिए जैसे फातिमा ने भी कहा, this has to be part of a longer term strategic vision of the government. कि हमने जो digital Pakistan है, how we foresee this. And to your second question, you're absolutely right. अगर आप इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन की बात करते हैं खासतौर पर छोटे शहरों में, तो वी आर फार बिहाइंड. और उसकी एक बड़ी फंडामेंटल वजह है. वो एक वजह यह है कि हमने जो स्पेक्ट्रम है, जैसा आमिर ने भी कहा, पाकिस्तान इज अ मोबाइल फर्स्ट नेशन. यहाँ पर वास्ट मेजॉरिटी हाई 90s में लोग परसेंटेज वाइज दे आर जस्ट यूजिंग दिस डिवाइस एज अ टूल टू गेट टू द वर्ल्ड. और वहां पर हमने जो स्पेक्ट्रम जिसके ऊपर ये सब कुछ, we have not deployed that spectrum, we have not released that spectrum. तकरीबन 45% हमारी utilization है compared to comparable countries in the region even. I'm not comparing with US and others. हमने और भी देखा कि बहुत से हुकूमतों ने, जैसे उन्होंने कोविड देखा, they have actually released some temporary spectrum, in some cases free of cost, just to help operators. So these things are very easy. ये एक policy directive से आप कर सकते हैं. इसके लिए आपको कुछ, so that is the support which we need, not just on taxes which are very important, both smartphones के point of view से internet, but also specific policy interventions जहाँ पर we can have a vision. And then I'm sure all organization आज panel पे भी, उसके अलावा बहुत सब, everyone would like to actually help and reach out and contribute. All we need is a comprehensive plan. देखिए हमने जब इस सेशन का आगाज किया, जो asked us about a strategy for Telenor, for Jazz, for Abacus. What is the strategy for Pakistan? Because हम इस वक्त बिल्कुल tactical opportunity based discussion कर रहे हैं, unfortunately at the national level. Just like any small business or a large business needs a strategy, a vision, और उसको आप break down करेंगे quarterly targets पे या yearly हम कहाँ पर अपने आप को देखते हैं. Same needs to happen with us as a nation. हमें इसको इस तरह से drive करना है कि हम अगले 5 साल में पाकिस्तान को कहाँ देखते हैं, 10 साल में क्या देखते हैं. What are the key roadblocks? And we understand our limitations, and हम सब चीजों को इकट्ठा नहीं कर सकते. But what is the biggest impact which we can create through some? गवर्नमेंट का काम नहीं है कि वो ये इंटरनेट डिलीवर करे, बट गवर्नमेंट का काम है कि ऐसी पॉलिसीज बनाए ये सब चीजें सीमलेसली हो सकें, एंड देन प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैन डू इट. स्टार्टअप्स को बहुत ज्यादा सपोर्ट की जरूरत है. वी हैव अमेजिंग टैलेंट, और आपसे ज्यादा कोई नहीं जानता इसको. हाउ वी नर्चर एंड चैनलाइज दोज एनर्जीज. पीपल वांटेड टू कंट्रीब्यूट. पाकिस्तान डायस्पोरा से लेके, फ्रॉम अ मेंटरशिप, फ्रॉम द फंडिंग एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट, वी हैव ट्रेमेंडस अपॉर्चुनिटीज. All we need is to package it right in the form of a vision and a direction and a plan which can be then implemented.
And I just want to just make a small comment on what Irfan has said.
Sure.
In the most simplest of form, that's what it is. जो हम initially बात कर रहे थे about execution. So at the government level, come up with these are our problems. This is what we're taught in our corporate environment. कि problem statement क्या है? What are the risks? What are the issues? Where are we going? And what needs to be done? This is the solution. Now then you from the board level, you hand it over to the execution team and say, this is the direction, go and execute it. तो वही बात होती है कि the government should not be in the business of doing business, but provide an overarching framework कि this is what needs to be executed and let's work towards a common goal. So we do that regularly in our organization, safeguarding ourselves from business continuity and worst case planning जो scenarios हम सब कर रहे हैं. Lekin there is a shared goal. There is a certain objective that we're trying to achieve. However, it cannot be done independent of the other stakeholders that are around us. And I hope something more proactively is done as soon as possible. It's not just about the crisis that has hit us. It's overall on a long-term basis. And jobs will be affected because of this. You have 60% of your youth, 60% of your population under the age of 30. That's a huge exodus of young next generation coming into the workplace in a very short span of time. Where are they going to get engaged and productive and give back to the country?
So Amir, as part, I mean, you also run the NIC in Islamabad. I mean, you're involved with it, you don't run it yourself. But have you been collaborating with startups? Because, they're facing extreme challenges right now. Some of them are doing extremely well if they're in the right verticals, but some of them are really struggling. What are the kind of initiatives that Jazz has with startups, especially in the health space or in the online learning space? Is there anything that we can be excited about? Or that startups in other cities can get involved in?
No. So we have a Jazz Accelerate program, and that is not only for our startup here in Islamabad. I would love to support Nest or anybody else, because ये हम सारों की collective success होएगी कि अगर कहीं से भी कोई चीज़ अच्छी निकली जाए. Startup का ecosystem पाकिस्तान में पिछले 4-5 सालों में थोड़ा सा accelerate हुआ है. Sorry for the pun, but the point is that more and more people are now taking an enterprising entrepreneurial path to their futures rather than going through a standardized पढ़ाई की नौकरी की. और हम जैसी companies की एक opportunity थी कि हम ये setups कर सकें. So the incubation center is not just a physical location where people can come in, but also a place where we can help through mentoring and help them guide and refine their business plans. During this last 3-4 months, of course, I think it has created more opportunities, because going back to your earlier question about the impact of digital in our new normal, however we define new normal, एक चीज़ काफ़ी वाज़े है कि हमारी reliance on technology, OTTs, non-physical go-to-market के ऊपर ज़्यादा होएगी. और ज़्यादातर जो startups जिन चीज़ों के ऊपर काम करते हैं वो disrupt करते हैं एक physical infrastructure को और एक middleman को. तो मेरा ख्याल है कि overall opportunity बेहतर है. अच्छा, हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Of course, tick in the box type of exercises सारी organization कर रही हैं. We did a hackathon specifically around health crisis, working with the Ministry of Health, where the winner was basically somebody who was developing a solution where the person could just cough on the phone, and through AI and everything else, we will be able to recognize whether this cough is a COVID-related cough or not, right? So we are trying to create some excitement around those areas. लेकिन by definition, startups जो होती हैं वो risk लेती हैं. मेरा ख्याल है एक लिहाज से startups थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा insulated हैं. Startups are run by people who believe in something. They go against the odds. They have taken a big risk. I think this particular thing that we are going through, if at all anything else, should have really encouraged the people who are running those startups to be a little bit more convinced in themselves rather than being worried about it. And of course, I also sit on the Ignite board and look at all the incubation centers in Pakistan. And we have a program around Digi Skills, which is a big opportunity. Just now, बताया कि 60% हमारी पॉपुलेशन जो है वो यंग है. अगर ये वाले लोग डिजिटल पे, these are actually the digital natives. हम तो डिजिटल इमिग्रेंट्स थे, बाद में सीखना पड़ा इंटरनेट. ये तो पैदा ही इंटरनेट की दुनिया में हुआ है. तो इन लोगों के लिए भी अगर हम वही ब्रिक्स एंड मोर्टर्स टाइप की सॉल्यूशंस करेंगे तो हम अपने यूथ को कोई सहूलत नहीं प्रोवाइड कर रहे. Just a suggestion, Ajana, there are a whole bunch of really good questions that I'm seeing. Do you mind if I take a couple of them before that? You're on mute, but I think you're probably saying go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, this mute button.
See, I told you we are digital immigrants. We are not natives. अगर कोई native होता वो फटाफट कर देता कि यार उसको पता होता है कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना. But that happens to us all the
please
time.
take some of the questions, and if Fatma, you and Irfan see any questions that are relevant for you, I think some are specifically addressed to some of you. So.
I'll just take one or two general, because a lot of our, I think, audience is perhaps working in different organizations. So there are a whole number of questions related to employee morale, whether they're going to be ready to digital, when will they come back, will their productivity be impacted? So I can perhaps think that there is a little bit of a personal interest ke, chahe wo badi organization hai, choti organization hai, how do we manage ourselves? What's the role of the organization? What's the role of the individual? Again, I would say what I say to everybody as a career guidance thing. Your career is your responsibility, ठीक है? ये चीज़ें अच्छी हो रही हैं, बुरी हो रही हैं, अच्छी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आपका बाकी ख्याल थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा रखेगी, लेकिन इस अपॉर्चुनिटी को ये ज़रूर देखें, take some time to reflect, find out what your true north is. There, of course, there is that imperative of getting a job and earning a livelihood. Beyond that, there is also an opportunity to figure out why are you here? And what else do you want to do? So take this opportunity to really think about reorienting your compass. In addition to that, there's a plethora of really good courses made available online, free by every university from Harvard, Cambridge to Coursera. Take this opportunity to reskill yourself, right? So when something like this does happen, you have not just waited and waiting for things to happen, you have constantly develop yourself. And this question I also get from a number of employees with our organization: how is Jazz helping? And my question is, how are you helping yourself? Are you taking opportunity of all the things that are first of all available? So from an employee's perspective, दूसरी चीज ये है कि बाद में न्यू नॉर्मल हमने ये रियलाइज किया कि 3 महीने घर से बैठ के भी काम हो सकता है. बाद में भी जब हम जाएंगे, we will perhaps think यार we perhaps didn't really need to be in the office all those 5 days or 6 days, all those 40 hours a week. So मेरा ख्याल है greater flexibility और reliance on digital tools है, जितना जल्दी आप उसको adapt करेंगे वो बेहतर है. और एक सवाल ये था कि क्या हमारी productivity वापस जाके कम होएगी या नहीं होएगी. I think that is probably not such a big concern for people who will embrace change faster. So those were my 3 things that I wanted to respond. Maybe it was Saima, Homa, and Jamil Janjua who asked these questions. But I think it might be on the minds of many other people also.
So there is another question which Irfan, you and Amir might want to answer because it's addressed to you. Any change in measuring productivity during the work from home regime? How do you measure productivity?
देखिए इसमें and again first right now when we must accept कि हमारे पास उस तरह के एक tighter quantifiable regime नहीं है इस वक्त, but some of the broader reflections on this, I think we need to really think starting from how we are organized pre-COVID and then post-COVID, because typically we are organized in a very silo type of line organization, right? So it's a sales organization, it's a marketing organization, it's a technology organization, etc. We need to really see, and especially when you are working from different locations, working from home, we need to think of the entire value chain. So I think that's one fundamental shift which I already see, and we've started sort of thinking about it, is how should we organize ourselves and then उसको आगे लेते हुए productivity आप measure कैसे करेंगे, and how you incentivize and motivate people to deliver on that. So incentives should not be just activity based, जैसे हम typical KPIs set करते रहे हैं आज तक. It has to be based on tasks and deliveries. So I think that's a shift which I see quite clearly. अगर हम दो चीजों का align कर लें, I think we should be able to fairly able to improve the productivity and able to have a good view on the productivity measures.
Fatma, do you have any metrics for measuring the performance of people working from home?
It's actually resonates with what has been said as well. Transiting into a more task-oriented environment with the work from home, and it is successful for many businesses, except for essential services. Of course, the manufacturing sector has to do a bit of deep thinking in terms of how they would manage that particular business process as well, and the human capital that they have associated with that. But for us, specifically on the Abacus front, we are already consciously supporting teams that are home. And as I said, aside from essential services who are required to be in the physical office space, you also look at smaller physical structures, infrastructure. So we are seriously thinking of जहाँ in Karachi or in Islamabad we have larger setups, उनको scale down किया जाए, which has obviously a cost rationalization approach as well. Three, looking very carefully at different elements of not only tools that are within our organization. For example, we use Microsoft Teams as a means of communication, and we're already investing in other particular monitoring tools which will strengthen our ability to have high level oversight on where the tasks are being completed, but also a level of consciousness of data security, which is extremely important, and continued connectivity. So these particular elements are being addressed, and heavily investing in this particular space. The other thing is, which is extremely important, is the human capital capacity to facilitate this change. So the point about digital natives is very real. Within Abacus, we have 2,600 employees, and our average age is 27. So you see a large number of people who are already very familiar. So that generational dynamic, we need to understand very carefully, and understand that they are already enabled to work from anywhere. And it becomes much more exciting for them to actually maybe sit at home or in a coffee shop or somewhere else where we are assured of data security, because there is a process of logging in with enough security measures as well. So where जो आपका digital dashboard and digital desktop का concept है, virtual desktop का concept है. So engaging with that and ensuring that we are really focusing on tasks, on creativity, on innovation in transformative thinking, and letting everything else, which is fluff and it is not essential. So essential services is not about the work that needs to be done from the office. Essential services is what can we do without. It's also having our team leaders realize that you don't have to have so many meetings. Why do you need to all get together and have conversations which may be very unproductive work at the end of the day? So make sure that rather than have that, be very focused and clear about communicating instructions, being task oriented, setting it into their goals and their KPIs, have the right systems facilitating and enabling that thought process, and then focus on engagement, focus on online learning, focus on those development activities which allows us to live our values, and really focus on enhancing the culture that we have within our organization. It's easier said than done, but there are a lot of tools now that are available, where people are not only investing from a work-related perspective, but they're investing in their own personal development on a more diverse level. We as business leaders should be aware of the fact that it is no longer an era where 20, 30 years ago, there were certain disciplines that you would graduate in and your career would follow suit from that. Right now, you can graduate in a particular discipline, but your career could be completely different to what your academic journey, where your academic journey led you. Because there is overlap in terms of how people are delivering and really developing their skills, and restarting businesses as well, and going back into the workplace with different opportunities and different innovative thinking as
In
well.
fact, there are
So,
many professions that have emerged, which are not based on any of the curriculum that we had, that many of us have been following over the years or graduating in. So, Amir, there's a question that you might want to take. It's from Saklain Abbas. He says, when a crisis has significant financial impact, how can you adapt your business model to reduce costs both in the short and medium term? I guess he's from a small company and
Okay,
is finding that very challenging.
So of course, I think the challenge is, and I don't know how useful my advice would be, because running a large company is very different from a smaller company, and the importance of cash preservation in a small company becomes paramount. Bigger companies probably have slightly bigger ability to go through a few bad quarters, especially if they have significant size and recurring revenue. देखें, मेन जो शुरू का क्राइसिस है, जो आपने पहला आपका सवाल था स्ट्रेटेजिक और टैक्टिकल में, बहुत शुरू में आपको टैक्टिकल पे जाना पड़ता है देखने के लिए। और अगर आप देख रहे हैं कि अगले, और इट विल डिपेंड फ्रॉम सेक्टर टू सेक्टर। अगर आप रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेस में हैं और आपको पता है कि भाई रेवेन्यू बिल्कुल जीरो हो जाएगा, यू विल हैव टू गो वेरी क्विकली कि भाई मैं अपनी कॉस्ट किस तरह बचा सकता हूँ। कैन आई गो एंड रीनेगोशिएट द रेंट? कैन आई go and ask my employees to take a 50% salary cut? Because survival becomes more important, right? Some companies have the luxury of, every company has taken a hit with the exception of maybe some pharmacies or whatever else, or testing companies doing COVID tests. Majority of companies have taken a hit. For some of them, it's an existentialist issue. कि मैं survive करूँगा या नहीं. So depending upon कि आपकी business क्या है, and I can't give you a generic answer. अगर आपकी business जो है वो उन सेक्टर्स में से है जिधर ट्रैवल, हॉस्पिटैलिटी और इस किस्म की चीज़ें थी जिसमें आउटडोर थी, ऑब्वियसली आपका पर्सपेक्टिव फ़र्क होएगा। अगर आप मेडिकल सप्लाईज में थे, हो सकता है आपका पर्सपेक्टिव फ़र्क होएगा। लेकिन द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ कैश for small businesses is paramount in times like this.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. You know, there are a number of questions from small and medium-sized companies saying, how can the larger organizations like yours support them during this period? Is there anything that you can do, or are they on their own? So who would like to take this?
I don't want to monopolize, but
no, please go ahead. And then Irfan, I would like you to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, small, so they are also our customers. Small and medium enterprises are our customers. So our account managers have worked out payment plans with them. So this is what we can do. We have to stay close to what we do as an organization. And I don't want to say it flippantly, but all of a sudden we're not going to just become an organization to help support other organizations. We have to look ourselves. But we do empathize with the challenging times that other businesses go through. And if they can't for a certain duration, pay our bills, or they need more flexibility, or they need a different kind of a solution, then we are there as co-creators of that solution. But it may not be कि जी अच्छा मेरी small business है, मुझे IT नहीं समझ आती, can you allocate 5 engineers to help me develop ERP? That we will not do, right? So we have to stay close to what we do as an organization and help our customers.
Just to add to what Amir said, so usme a couple of examples, and that has to be very specific, obviously, for any large business. So for Telenor, I mean, when it comes to, so we have also provided some relief to our business customers, and generally they are SMEs, in terms of payment plans, in terms of also giving them more value. जैसे मैंने आपको example दी students के लिए, so we all come up from the sector with a telecom package for students, जहाँ पर हमने थोड़ा incentivize किया, but obviously it was not totally free, but little bit more. इसी तरह जो अगर मैं आपको अपनी financial services easy पैसा के example दूँ, तो वहाँ पर State Bank has actually given some relief where you can roll over loans into next year. And we've been quite actively encouraging small businesses, जहाँ पर कुछ भी उनको doubt है, to do that, and many of them actually have availed that, which is a big help for sure. If you think of companies who are already taken loan and not able to pay back. So these are some concrete examples. Obviously, we encourage businesses to look at their cost and go digital. whether it's digital solutions हो जहाँ पर उनकी cost बच सकती है जहाँ पर transfer, but obviously उसका जो impact आएगा वो शायद थोड़ा सा longer term हो, that may not help them next month. But this is something which I think we all need to sort of think through and see how we can do some structural interventions into our businesses. Not just short term, which is important in any crisis, but longer term, हम कैसे अपनी जो recurring cost है उसको कैसे कम कर सकते हैं, and that can be done. For example, एक idea ये है to go more digital, जहाँ पर अपनी और go more automated, जहाँ पर अपनी cost को आप consistently reduce कर सकते हैं.
And if I
Yes,
can
ma'am.
just add to that, one or two of our areas focus very heavily on facilitating small and medium-sized enterprises. So it's not just about providing them technology solutions, but it's also about enabling their businesses right at the leadership level to have a change in mindset, because the system is as good as the people who use it, and it has to be aligned to. So that's one angle that we work very consciously on. On the other hand, leaders and myself included, and one of the elements that we did not talk about is diversity and inclusion, which is extremely important as well. And how can we as business leaders mentor these organizations, part of the incubation centers and new startups? I'm personally involved with 2 or 3 platforms and forums which are helping providing some guidance in terms of how they can establish themselves and then scale as businesses. And then we have that latent talent, the women demographic at all levels of age. It's not about the new generation that is entering, but at all levels within organizations as well as those who are trying to set up their own business. जैसे इरफान ने भी पहले कहा कि अब जो the women colleagues who are managing from home, myself included. So I'm working from home and I find it's more challenging because I have to obviously keep an eye on my children who have online classes as well. And there's always something else obviously happening within the home. At the same time, you're constantly on calls and you're delivering. So how do we facilitate them to continue to be very good, strong contributors, economic contributors as well, and especially where they have great ideas which can give back to their communities and to society as well. So that's a very important element, and I feel as business leaders it is our responsibility to give back more than what our organizations are already doing.
So one last question, because I think we've gone well over our time and I'm cognizant of the fact that you are all very busy people. But with more people going online, there are challenges as well that they are facing and that organizations are facing. In terms of a lot of scams that are taking place these days, using some of the tools that are supposed to be used for positive for positive execution, people are using it negatively. Is there something that we can do as businesses and as government to enhance the security that we have online and to educate people on how to use online tools without putting themselves at risk?
Yeah,
Good
if I may.
question. Go ahead, Irfan.
John, इसमें देखिए, I think it all starts with awareness. That's the first and foremost. And with technology, I mean, जितने ज़्यादा लोग expose होंगे, जितना ज़्यादा use करेंगे, risk उस तरह से बढ़ जाएगा. So I can give some practical example. What we've been doing is that we've created a lot of awareness around information security. Or basic things, apps download करते हैं, उसकी settings, what sort of permissions you need to give. उसके अलावा how to protect some of your business critical systems, उसकी access, simple things, email या password आप share ना करें, password किस किस्म का होना चाहिए. To the extent that we have some non-financial goals every year, just like any other organization. और इस साल we have said कि जी हमारा one of the key goal is around information security and creating awareness. So people who will do some online courses and training on that, they will be considered actually for that bonus KPI, just to incentivize and encourage people, because this is a big issue around the world, and more so for us because many of our people are exposed to digital quite recent, I would say.
Amen.
Yeah,
Then
and
you
I
can
think
have,
one of the questions I think Muhammad Hamad asked that
yeah.
like during times like this, it was jazz cash accounts are being hacked. Now, most of them are actually hacking क्या होती है वो ये होता है कि किसी बंदे से आप उसका पासवर्ड या OTP ओवर द टॉप जो है वन टाइम पिन आती है वो पूछ लेते हैं और हमारे लोग नाइव होते हैं लेकिन इसलिए दे देते हैं बड़े लोगों को फोन कॉल्स आती हैं मुझे फोन कॉलें आती हैं कि जी आपने इतने पैसे जीत लिए हैं ये कर लिया मैं जैज कैश से बात कर रहा हूँ हेड ऑफिस से
नाइजीरिया से तो नहीं आया कोई
नहीं पाकिस्तानी माशाल्लाह किसी से पीछे नहीं है तो बात यह है कि हम लोग जो हैं जब भी कोई एक अच्छी चीज़ होगी उसके साथ उसके कुछ गलत इस्तेमालात भी हो सकते हैं और इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि हम वी गिव अप ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी वी जस्ट हैव टू बीफ अप एंड आई थिंक विद और विदाउट दिस क्राइसिस every as Irfan said that his organization has got incentives for people to beef up their cybersecurity skill sets every CEO today whether they're working in technology or not perhaps is grappling with two issues one is cybersecurity and the other is data protection so ये दोनों चीजें जो हैं with or without COVID बड़ी जरूरी थी मेरे ख्याल में at the top of the mind of all leaderships what is happening today is that there is going to be greater infiltration when it comes to abuse in our systems, right? And there will be people who will try to get in there. अब ये चीज़ रोकने के लिए you will have to make plans. It will not happen automatically कि ये चीज़ें ख़त्म हो जाएंगी. ख़ास तौर पे जो कि nascent industries हैं जिस तरह digital financial services, उसमें अगर हम अभी से ही नहीं रोकेंगे तो लोगों का एतमाद जैज़ कैश या इजी पैसा से ख़त्म हो जाएगा कि यार इसमें बड़ा फ्रॉड होता है मतलब फ्रॉड हमारे रिटेलर ही करते हैं हमारे कस्टमर ही करते हैं पॉइंट मेरा ये है कि हमें अपनी अवेयरनेस और इसके ऊपर एजुकेशन जो है वो कॉन्स्टेंटली बढ़ानी है अलॉन्ग विद गवर्नमेंटल इंटरवेंशंस के जैसे ही आप इन लोगों को पकड़ें आप इनके फ़ोन बंद कर दें इस शनाख्ती कार्ड के ऊपर आप किसी को फ़ोन नहीं देंगे किसी का बिजली का बिल नहीं हो सकेगा स्टेट बैंक उसको रोके लोगों का क्रेडिट स्कोर ख़राब हो सो डिटेरेंट्स हमें जो हैं वो डालने पड़ेंगे नॉट ओनली एज पब्लिक एज प्राइवेट कंपनीज बट ऑल्सो थ्रू गवर्नमेंटल इंटरवेंशंस एंड पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशंस
So इस पे कुछ discussions government के साथ हुए हैं and also have any of your organizations been involved in the Data Protection Act that the government is looking to enact?
That's a very large topic
I know
that is going a little bit more draconian कि जिसमें आप पहले किसी से पूछेंगे कि जी मैं आपको क्या SMS भेज सकता हूँ कैसे पूछेंगे SMS anyway वो बहुत बड़ा topic and we're perhaps wrapping up maybe we keep it for the next one but there are certainly I would say rooms for improvement in whatever policy comes and I'll give a general statement a better policy can come if you interact with multiple stakeholders those who have to implement it the people who are going to get affected by it and the government if you do it in isolation and you think कि जी मैं अकेले को लूँ और कल से ये data protection की policy है वो नहीं चलेगा लोगों से बात करें और अच्छी जो recommendations हैं उनको accept करें.
And I think just leading on to what Amir said, it's also about compliance. So being aware of, the international compliance like GDPR here and being familiar with what is happening at the global level, because that allows us to set certain standards and best practices, and the consciousness of those best practices also allows our organizations to be better prepared and safeguard ourselves from any risk and a good strong mitigation process of those risks as well. तो वहाँ से फिर awareness होती है, clear training होती है, communication होती है, and it just becomes a way of how organizations behave. The gap that we find in that space is the lack of focus on documentation in some organizations and lack of focus on compliance to certain documents that are required. So it is a mindset. And that is extremely important to safeguard oneself from data security breaches or, the environment that we have in terms of information security.
So Irfan, आपसे भी मैं पूछती हूँ और आमिर और फातिमा से भी कि is there anything that we can do as organizations together with the government in creating this awareness that is required? Because every day I hear of somebody who's been taken for a ride, चाहे वो one of the online stores पे हो या Jazz Cash or Easy Paisa पे हो या any of the other wallets that have now come into existence. अक्सर ये होता है कि लोगों को पता नहीं होता है. And I think we need to create campaigns, and your organizations are very good at creating advertising, etc., that is relevant and that also educates. But government can also get involved. मेरे ख्याल में, if we don't do that, then we will see a lot more of these kind of things happening. तो आप लोगों की कोई बात हुई है government level पे या हो सकती है? Maybe the rest of us can also get involved in trying to see how we can tackle this.
This is a very I would say कि relevant topic जिस पे काफी बात होती रहती है on a constant basis. And government side पे हम ये देख रहे हैं कि I mean there are efforts obviously. I mean they're also quite concerned about those. But लेकिन उसको जरा ये है कि एक comprehensive plan के साथ होना चाहिए. We also see कि cyber crime wing FIA is quite active. We have some good discussions with them as well with very good intent. Obviously resources की limitation है, but that's why we need to create that awareness. We're doing it at our own level, but I think it's much better if we all come together, just like we've discussed earlier. This is a key factor to create an ecosystem around payments, or it is very important that everyone understand what are the risks, or it is in everyone's interest, and especially consumers' interest, that we create that awareness. So I will be very happy to actually join any initiative जिसके अंदर हम मिलके ये कर सकें, because it's hurting each one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Amir, Irfan, Fatma, for your time. And thanks to everybody who participated and put in such good questions and comments. There are lots of good comments on how useful they found the conversation. So maybe we can tackle one separate item at a time on some future date. But thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you. And I hope that we'll keep in contact, and some of the things that we need to collectively do together, hopefully we can take that offline and connect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Shukriya bahut bahut. Thank
All
you
the best and stay safe, everyone.
Yeah,
you
you
too.
Thank you.